I'm kind of joking, but I really do think there's something we need to point out that things are really crazy right now. Maybe it's always been this way. Maybe every generation feels this way. Take a look at your screen. The other day I made a video about a Chicago Cubs fan who flashed a, quote, white power hand gesture. It was the OK hand sign. In fact, you can actually see it's pointed down like the circle game. If you look at it, it get to punch you. Here's the thing. NBC has now blurred the image. I kid you not. You're looking at it. NBC quite literally blurred the image, and they say it's a, quote, white power symbol. You know why I say we live in hell? But let me stop real quick. I do have a somewhat positive story. It's not just this. Because NBC knows it's not. In the story, they actually say it's not. It's a hoax. It only recently merged as a white power hand symbol. So let's read the story. Because the guy who did it got banned indefinitely. They say, a Chicago Cubs fan who appeared to flash a, quote, white power hand gesture behind a black sports reporter while he was on the air has been banned from Wrigley Field. The Cubs sweatshirt wearing fan's face couldn't be seen during the Tuesday NBC Sports broadcast of the Cubs home game against the Miami Marlins, but his hand, which appeared in a frame behind analyst Doug Glanville, was positioned in the OK gesture, often associated with the white supremacist movement. By you! Associated by you! It's a gag. They say it's a gag. Oh, good God. There was a story written the other day. They deleted it, I guess, where it said something about like the alt-right is trying to appropriate hydration. There's a joke that if Donald Trump came out in favor of oxygen, liberals would suffocate. This is what they're trying to prove. And they do it every day with stories like this. Why would NBC blur the image? Why would they report? Why would they do it? It's because they don't care. It's because they just bend over backwards. They're terrified people. Now, I tweeted that I can't see things improving. James Lindsay, who is one of the professors involved in the Sokol Squared hoax where they did the fake grievance studies thing. You should Google it if you're not familiar. Called me Chicken Little and said they're marginalizing themselves every time they do this. I get it, but I'm not entirely convinced. That's very, very optimistic. I've been entrenched in this on the ground for years. I was physically attacked by black bloc anarchist types in 2011, several times. I haven't seen things improve. I've only seen things get worse because we have extreme factions on the left and the right. Yes, both sides. Different behaviors, different things people find acceptable. But the left has formed this mob where they're just like, come on, man. Here's the point. Moderates and conservatives are not going to approve of this. They're gonna look at NBC as crazies. Perhaps it's true. The left will marginalize themselves as they do this. But too many people are what I believe Andrew Breitbart called them, default liberal. They're just going to do whatever people say. They're going to believe it. That's why they lie. This is why the activists lie on Twitter. It's because they need to call you a name so that they can get you banned. All they got to do is get a couple articles that say a couple weird things. Boom, it's in your Wikipedia page. Then they get your bank account shut down. It's about dominoes falling over. They are evil liar activists manipulating those who would just fall in line with whatever the modern left thing is. And there's proof of this. I don't have the study pulled up, but I have covered it like 56 times. There was a chart, okay, and it shows this graph like this. It's this weird, like bean-shaped thing. It was all these different spectrums on social media, on Twitter, I believe. You can see the Democrats, the Republicans, the resistance, the Trump supporters. The point is, you could overlap journalists with progressive activists. I kid you not, in the same space. But worse still is that brand marketing online fell into the resistance category. What that means is marketing agencies think it is better to blur the OK hand sign. That's where they're aiming. So here's the thing. Money is being poured in this direction, not the other direction. So they're going to keep doing crazier and crazier things. It's going to run wild. Look at all the people who have been censored on social media. It tends to flow in one direction. Look at the smears. One direction. I can have 50 videos of me talking with communists, Muslim refugees, but I do one interview with the alt-right and boom, there it is. That's how the game is played. It all flows in one direction. But I do have, it may seem a bit like a non sequitur, but I definitely wanted to bring this story up. This just really, god damn, this depressed me. Seeing this, because it's like, they did this story the other day where they were going to investigate it. And I thought it was so absurd. I can't believe this is happening. Where is the rational mind? It's gone. And then I see this story today. You blurred it? Are you kidding me? And now they're going full in. Oh, it's a white power. And I'm just like, wow. That was such an escalation in a day. You better blur the image. Are you nuts? They are. But here's the thing. There's another story that gives me hope. And it's rooted in kind of something tragic. The story's from today. There was a school tragedy at it's the STEM school, I believe it's called. There was a vigil planned because a student sacrificed his life to save the others. There was nine students were shot, and a vigil was planned. When apparently some Democrats showed up and started politicizing the event, calling for policy changes, students walked out in protest, saying their trauma was being politicized. This actually gave me hope. It is not acceptable what you're doing. Simply because this happens doesn't mean you have a right to come in and push politics on these students using this tragedy and their trauma. And the students stood up and walked out. And this gives me hope that at some point, maybe James Lindsay is right. Maybe I am being Chicken Little. Maybe it is getting to the point where regular people are going, enough, right? It's the old saying, when will you get up, go to the window, open it, and yell, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore? Maybe that point will come. Maybe someone will finally get so angry and say, I just want to talk about how I feel. How many people on the left right now are bottling up their emotions, terrified to speak out because the mob will attack you. They'll smear you. They will destroy you. And they're running wild. You look at these graphs. I've shown these graphs over and over again, where you can see the Republicans move slightly to the right and the left goes whoosh all the way to the left, like a ridiculous amount. And it's because I think for the longest time, the way I've kind of perceived it as, conservatives kind of feel, what's the right word? I don't want to say ostracized, but maybe. You know, the media is often against you. Seth Meyers, Colbert, they rag on conservatives all day and night. They mock Republicans. They praise Obama. And it feels like you're in the out group. So it's easy to say, I don't care what you think. I never did because you guys lie about me anyway. But the left doesn't have that. The left has always been a part of the mainstream. They've always been in the tribe. And there have been studies showing that the average person views liberals as mainstream and conservatives as not. And that's another point about everything flowing in one direction. But eventually, things get so damn insane. Politicians show up and try to politicize a vigil for young people who lost their lives. One person who sacrificed himself to save these other students. And they start talking about policy. Enough is enough. And the students walk out. They began chanting mental health, pushing back on these politicians who wanted to use their pain for a political goal. They said, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And maybe that's what we need. But I think the challenge that arises is the average person I know doesn't pay attention, uninvolved. The average person I know who's actually somewhat involved in politics leans left and probably just flows in that direction because, yeah, sure, I guess. You now see all these Democratic politicians endorsing things that labor unions don't even want. I often default to this. The AFL-CIO repeatedly now denouncing the Green New Deal. That's the largest federation of trade unions. Who are the Democrats representing at this point? But regular people, not all of them, will flow with them and say, yeah, just tell me, I'm part of the group. I'm going to say what you say. They form this mob and they just repeat themselves. But maybe, James Lindsay pointed out, these kinds of things are going to marginalize the regressive left. This guy in the Cubs shirt, in the sweater, I'd be willing to bet he is not a white supremacist. I'd be willing to bet it was the circle game. That he's some dude who was going to do this and then later ask his friends if he saw it. When they say yes, he punches them like, haha, I got you through the TV, man. I'm so smart. Instead, he's been banned for life, indefinitely from Wrigley Field for a gag. And NBC News actually blurred it. So perhaps this man is now going to go to his friends and be like, they're crazy, dude. Or perhaps his friends are going to be scared. Maybe he is a white supremacist. Oh, God. NBC News had to blur it. I don't know which direction it's going to go. James Lindsay is more optimistic than I am. With NBC News a day later blurring the symbol, I'm going to go ahead and say that there's going to be regular people who are going to be like, whoa, it is. NBC News is blurring it. Not many people are going to have the mental fortitude to say, oh, get out of here. No way. But you know, my thoughts on the matter do change over time. I do float a little bit back and forth on whether I think it's getting better or worse. Sometimes it feels like things are getting better, and sometimes it feels like it's getting worse. Probably has to do with how much coffee I've had to drink during the day and whether or not I'm getting caffeine euphoria. But the point is, right now I'm kind of in the middle. This kind of depresses me. I see this story about these kids saying no way and walking out, and this gives me hope. And maybe James Lindsay is right. Maybe people are going to see this and be like, oh dear God, they've lost their minds. And maybe it's things like this that are going to get Trump reelected. There's a lot of reasons Trump is on track to get reelected. The economy is doing really well, and possibly this. Possibly. It's possible that enough people in the middle look at this with disdain and just say, you have lost it. And there you go. Trump wins re-election. But I don't know. What I can say is, at least for now, it really does feel like everything is just worse. Like these stories about Antifa trying to buy weapons on the border. You know, Cuomo going on TV and saying Antifa is a good cause. Like a day before they physically attacked journalist Andy Ngo. It doesn't feel like it's getting better. And I will say, if this does lead to Trump getting reelected, it's going to get way, way worse. You think they're mad that Trump won 2016? Well, for many people, they're like, that was a fluke. It was a mistake. What do you think's going to happen when Trump wins again? But I'll leave it there. I've got more videos coming up later today. The next video at 4 p.m. on my main channel, youtube.com/timcast. It is a different channel from this one. I will see you there.